name is Skylar and he will be speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual, speech number 3, Get to the Point. In his spare time, Skylar enjoys cooking foods from all over the world. It makes me yearn for some good Italian food right now. And he's passionate about pure ingredients. Today, his speech, which is entitled The Threat of Aluminum in Food, Skylar will be talking about the dangers of convenience in the kitchen. Skylar Garcia.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, friends, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Indulge me here. Close your eyes. And I want you to picture not being able to find your keys. How frustrating can that be when you can't find your keys? Now keep your eyes closed. I want you to imagine that you can't remember what you had for breakfast. You can't remember what you had for lunch or dinner. You don't recognize your friends or your neighbors, your children, your spouse. When you look in the mirror, you don't even recognize yourself. Go ahead and open your eyes. I'm talking, of course, about Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a horrendous disease that is affecting and afflicting our elderly generation. If you go into an assisted care facility, you'll find that there's 2 sections of the assisted care facility. The first section is for dementia. The second section is for Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is starting to onset earlier and earlier. It used to be that Alzheimer's didn't exist. 150 years ago, they didn't know that Alzheimer's existed. Now, Alzheimer's is starting to affect people in their 80s, their 70s, their 60s. There's even adult onset of Alzheimer's that happens when people are in their 40s. So what's happening? Why are we getting Alzheimer's? Why is Alzheimer's part of our culture? And what's happening? There's 2 schools of thought with Alzheimer's. I've done a lot of research on Alzheimer's because I'm so interested in the brain. I love learning about the brain. And Alzheimer's affects the brain. These 2 schools of thought are that, 1, it's genetic. You're going to get Alzheimer's because of genetics. I don't necessarily believe that side. Then there is the environmental side. What's causing you to get Alzheimer's? Out of all the research that I've done, I found a lot of correlation with Alzheimer's and aluminum. There was a big scare back in the 80s that aluminum was causing Alzheimer's. And looking at Alzheimer's specifically, you can see that there is a direct correlation with aluminum. Some people think that aluminum causes Alzheimer's. Others think that aluminum causes Alzheimer's to progress. It exponentiates or is a catalyst for Alzheimer's. I believe that it kind of does both. Because Alzheimer's is starting to become prevalent in our food and our society. Now, I love to cook and I love to experiment in the kitchen. And what I found is after World War II, we started to want more convenience. That more convenience began happening in frozen dinners and food that was readily available to us. We could spend more time at work and we could spend less time at home. And as a result, we wanted things quicker. For that reason, aluminum is a wonderful product. Aluminum is a buffering agent. Aluminum can also cause us to... Aluminum is a food color. Aluminum can be used, sorry, I'm repeating myself, it's used as a buffering agent. On top of that, aluminum can be used as a leavening agent for our foods. Believe it or not, our foods are full of aluminum. But let's take a step back here real quick. What is food cooked in? If you go and you look at Walmart or you go into a cooking store, you're going to find that 90% of the products are made with aluminum pans. There's Teflon coatings on them. That's a completely different story. But there's aluminum in our cookware. Whatever you cook with, it's going to leach into your food. That's a given. If you cook with iron, iron's going to leach into your food. If you cook with aluminum, it's going to leach into your food. You heat up metal, the ions start popping off of the metal, and it's going to go into your food, regardless. When we cook with aluminum, what ends up happening is those ions start to come into our bodies, and those aluminum elements start to be part of our bodies. Cookware is a big thing, but also our food has aluminum, believe it or not. Baking powder, it's aluminum. That's what it is. It's a leavening agent that causes our pastries, our food, like breads and doughs, to be really flaky and puffy. We don't have to wait for the yeast to rise. We can just put in some baking powder and boom, the bread just starts rising. It's also in cheeses. Processed cheese has aluminum as a stabilizing agent in it. On top of that, it's in our drugs. We use it to balance our, what are those things called? We use to balance, stabilize our drugs that we give each other, sorry, I'm losing my focus here, guys.
It's okay.
We use it for our vaccines. We put it into our bodies willingly. Aspirin, buffered aspirin, is coated with aluminum. That way, it's not going to dissolve in our stomach and give us ulcers. We also have things like Pepsid AC that are used whenever we have indigestion. That has aluminum as well. So it's in our food system. We're using it to cook with it. We're purposely putting it into our foods. And then, here's the interesting part, is that if you take somebody that is on a low income, that doesn't spend a lot of money on food, they're going to buy the cheapest, most processed products that they possibly can. Those products are laden with aluminum. And your body is able to expel aluminum. But think about it. Your body doesn't need aluminum. You're not taking aluminum supplements. You're taking iron supplements and calcium supplements and zinc, but aluminum is not one of those things that your body needs. So it's toxic to our bodies. We want to expel it, and so you're putting in more and more aluminum. Think of that, the typical person that's about 60 years old. That 60-year-old wakes up in the morning, they brush their teeth with toothpaste that has aluminum. They use mouthwash that has aluminum in it. Then they take their buffered aspirin. Buffered aspirin has 71 milligrams of aluminum for 2 aspirin. You take those. Then you're taking something for your acid indigestion, and you take those as well. You're up to 100 milligrams of aluminum. You fry your egg in your aluminum pan. Then you go and you cook lunch. And you're having a grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup. I love that stuff. That's really good. But the bread itself is leavened with aluminum. It has 12 milligrams per slice of Wonder Bread. Then you're putting the cheese on there. Then you're cooking in an aluminum pan. You have your tomato soup, which is being leached out. Something acidic is going to leach, cause the aluminum to leach even more. And you're eating that and you're ingesting that into your body. Suddenly your body is filled with so much aluminum that it's overwhelmed. It can only expel so much. And as you get older, it expels less and less and less. So you're purposely poisoning your body with this heavy metal that your body doesn't need. And then it reaches through the blood-brain barrier, and suddenly you start to have the Alzheimer's, which is the aluminum is deposited in the fatty tissues of the brain. Interesting. We're doing this to ourselves. Now, I'm of the philosophy that it could be aluminum, or it couldn't be aluminum. But I'd rather not ingest it into my body and be wrong than to ingest it and be right. I want to know my kids when I'm older. Thank you very much.